Hi buddy, welcome back to Cat's Book Nook. This is going to be my August wrap-up video since I have gotten my rambling video out of the way for today. So you guys already know that we have moved and unpacked. So, last month I tried reading 18 different books because that's what I posted on my to be read list in the videos in the description box below. There were 3 videos last month, one which is a general. Could not find a place in either of the 2 challenges for the books. My Tome Topple challenge and then the Read-A-Thon challenge. Out of the 2 challenges, only 1 got completed. 1. It's not to say I didn't read a lot of books. I just didn't complete the challenge. I actually didn't read any book that was in my general must-read list. With Tome Topple, I completed 1 book, and with Read-A-Thon, I completed 9 of the 18 challenges. So I got halfway through the challenges. So, let me tell you guys what I read. So, for the Tome Topple challenge, I finished 1 book, like I said. And this actually ended up being a buddy read that completed 1 of the 9 challenges for Read-A-Thon also. And the book that I got through was Strange the Dreamer. Sorry, I don't have it anymore, so it's a little difficult to show you guys on my phone. I also haven't figured out how to upload the picture on YouTube. I'll figure that out sometime, now that I have plenty of time to do stuff. Anyway, Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor is about Strange, who is definitely more than he comes off to be in the first few chapters. And the story about another world that people think has totally disappeared. It's been centuries since anybody's seen these people, and they finally pop up out of the blue, unexpectedly, and Strange goes with them. It's a journey story. And since it's a journey story, you kind of might see where the journey is going to take him. And it's very... Laini wrote it very well. And I'm definitely going to pick that book up as a book to put on my bookshelf because I borrowed it from the library. It was that good. I gave it a 5 stars on Goodreads. And if I could have given it more, I would have. And it didn't get a 4 because it was very well written, even though you knew what was coming down the pipe, somewhat. Because there's a part in the story where you just have to know what this kid is, and who this kid is, and how he plays into the story. And while I didn't particularly like the way it ended, it definitely left you on the cliffhanger that you needed for the next book that's coming out. I think it's 2018. I really need it sooner so I can get this duology finished because it was that good. So, that was the Tome Topple book that I got through, and really waiting on the sequel for it. But while I'm waiting on the sequel for it, there's plenty of other books to get through. With Read-A-Thon, I got through 9 challenges, like I've mentioned, for this one, and a couple that were doubled up just because it worked out that way. I did do both audiobook and physical book for this, so I'll note where I'll tell you guys what was a physical book versus what was an audiobook. And with that, more pictures. So, the month of August started out with Simon versus the Homo Sapien Agenda, which I talked to you guys about in my Read-A-Thon challenge to be read list video in the description box below. This book was fantastic. I really liked this book. I liked the way Becky Albertalli told the story. I did listen to this book instead of physically reading this book. A line in the book that stuck out to me, at least, especially after the love interest was revealed because he wasn't what Simon had assumed he was going to be, was, why do we always assume the person is like us? I thought that was a really good line, and that basically is true. because I always assume that when I'm reading something that the character's like me, because that's how I connect to the book. I think it goes back to the Hermione Granger argument for the Hermione in The Cursed Child and in the play versus Hermione Granger in the movies. J.K. Rowling never says whether she's black or white. She just talks about her hair. And this book reminded me of that conversation. Just because it was that one line made the entire book. And the story was good, was very well written, it kept me engaged, the narrator was really good, and if you have read it, again, would love to hear your comments on it, just to see where you guys were with it. And that was the Birthstone book cover challenge. The 2017 release and read a book in a day challenge was Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Seanan McGuire. I really don't know what to say with this book. It was another well-written book. Seanan just, wow, is pretty much all I can say. Jack's story, Jill's story, and I know they touched on why Jack and Jill came back in Every Heart a Doorway, but it's definitely more apparent in Down Among the Sticks and Bones because it's Jack and Jill's story. And how the parents didn't really even want kids, and probably were the people that shouldn't have even had kids, because we all know those people exist somewhere in our lives. But it was a good book. It was another 5-star read, physical book, and I borrowed it from the library. We'll be getting that book at some point in my reading career, probably when the 3rd book comes out, so that way I can read all 3 of them at the same time, instead of having to wait. Same first letter challenge was Cinder by Marissa Meyers. I'm not going to show you guys the covers to these, just to save you guys the glare of me having to apologize for the pictures on the phone. But this was an audiobook. I gave it 4 stars. It had a good storyline. I liked the narrator. She was a little whiny at points, but the story was good. I do own Cinder and the entire Lunar Chronicles 4-book series. So I own that. I am waiting on Scarlet and Cress on Overdrive, so when those come out, I'll listen to those on audiobook. Hopefully I get Scarlet this month, and that'll be on my TBR list. So, soon. Next one was a summer-themed cover. For this one, I did The Magic Strings of Frankie Presto by Mitch Albom. This was also an audiobook. 5 stars. I liked the way Mitch got other people to narrate with him. So there's different parts in the story where it's almost like Music Death is interviewing the different people in Frankie's life and the people that he made an impact with. And then Mitch is narrating music's part of the story. It was a very well done collaboration. I didn't have any issues with anybody's narrative. And he got people like Ingrid Michaelson was on there. I forget who else was on the cast, but it was really well done. And I actually listened to that on the way going to West Virginia and on the way coming home from West Virginia with Ray and Ethan. They kind of got into it the second day on the way home. And then we started listening to Cinder after that was done. And it was good. We had fun. So that was the summer themed cover because it's almost like a sunset cover with music on it. Really cool cover. Fortunately can't show it to you guys. So anyway. Warm color cover. And it could have been orange, brown, sunset colors. I almost used the Magic Strings of Frankie Presto for this one, but I didn't. Because I ended up listening to The Hotel on the Corner of Bitter and Sweet. Listening to this book versus reading this book, I was not prepared for the feelings that came out in this book, The narration was really well done. I ended up giving this read through 5 stars. I've read it before, but listening to it was an entirely different experience, and I'm really glad I listened to it. It's a story about 2 young children. They start off at the age of 12. They're in a white private school. They're scholarship kids. Henry is Chinese American. Keiko is Japanese American. And what happens in the 1940s in Seattle with the mass exodus of Japan America. And just the way it's written and the concentration camp view that came into it, and how Henry loved Keiko and wanted to be with Keiko, but he couldn't because of his dad. And finally, when it comes down to it, how their relationship changed because of events in history. And it was really well done. Jamie Ford did a fantastic job researching that. And even though the realistic story may not have had a happy ending, The Hotel on the Corner, Bitter and Sweet did. And it was good. Thank you, Jamie. I already told you guys about Read a Book in 24 Hours, which was Down Among the Sticks and Bones. The other challenge was a new to you author. So, The Diviners by Libba Bray was one of my Tome Topple books that I was trying to read. I didn't get through it in enough time for the challenge, but I did finish it this month. It was a good book. I think I gave this one 4 stars just because the main character was just, I don't know what to tell you guys about that one. It was just interesting to the point I got the second book on hold on one of either of the 2 platforms, either physical or audiobook. I think it's physical book at this point. But I don't know. I don't even want to talk about it, so I'm going to go on to the next one, because the next one was a 3-star book for me, and I really kind of hated it. The next book challenge that I finished was Read a Book with Water on the Cover. For this one, I did Into the Water by Paula Hawkins. I gave this one a 3 stars. It was a physical book. It was the book that I was trying to get through by Monday, because it was only a 7-day loan. I ended up finishing it on Tuesday because I just did. This book was kind of confusing because it goes through the different viewpoints. Yes, each chapter has a name and name of the person that the chapter's about with the different viewpoints. It was just it was well done, but it wasn't the type of book that I would generally go to. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of The Husband's Secret by Moriarty, in that it focused on one specific event and then the different viewpoints of the people from that one event. Again, it wasn't bad, but not necessarily what I would have picked up normally. Talks about how in one small community, family means everything, loyalty means everything, and where the husbands and the men in the community aren't much more than chauvinistic pigs with old world mentalities. I don't know. I need to move past this book. It was just, yeah. The other challenge that I finished was the Buddy Read a Book, which is Strange Dreamer, which I already talked about also. And the last challenge that I picked up was Read a Book outside your favorite genre. Probably could have put Into the Water for this category, but I ended up listening to The Good Luck of Right Now by Matthew Quick. 4-star book. The narration was really good. This is not a book I would typically have gotten past chapter 2 on. Chapter 2 is one of the most brutal, and not brutal in a bad way or a violent way, just brutal as in I had to pause so many times getting through this chapter, even in the audiobook, because it talked about porn And this guy's telling Richard Gere, who is the person his mother loved and adored and tried to get to visit them, if I'm remembering correctly. And so I listened to this at the beginning of the month. It was just... Bartholomew is telling Richard Gere all of this stuff, and I'm thinking he's actually sending him these letters. I don't want to hear about the porn that people watch, or the sex that you almost had, and how you ended up going to jail for a prostitute. It was hard. And while I'm laughing about it, for some people this is a reality. It's being able to write to a real person that kind of makes you feel like they're stalking them, but at the same time to tell a story, which isn't the best way to tell it. Well, wouldn't be my best way to tell a story, but for Matthew, it was awesome. It made you think, and it made me, at least, want to finish the story, because I wanted to see what happened to Bartholomew. And I wanted to see if they made it to Canada, and I wanted to see what his relationship with the girl Brarian turned out to be, and her brother, and how the 6 degrees of separation came into play. And the guy that was his dad was not expecting that at all. That was a definite twist. Although you kind of see it coming late in the book. And while I'm glad that that's the way it turned out, it is definitely a book that showcases mental disability and shows how even if you're mentally challenged, you're still a real person. It's just you tell your story differently. So I thought it was a good book. And with that, those are the books that I got through in the month of August. If you've read any of these, would love to hear your comments. Would love to see what you guys are reading next month. And with that, I will be back with my September to be read list, where I actually have physical books to show you guys. Yay! So, talk to you guys soon. Bye.